So you don't see the rapid rise of rents as you do in a place like Portugal that's getting, especially Lisbon's getting, they say that's getting 5 million tourists per year. So you're getting 5 million tourists per year and 200,000 more foreign residents in an 8-year period, which is 25,000 additional foreign residents per year. Time to remind people that it's not about location. That's what the RAMMs do, you know, location, go here, you know. That's what they do. That's not how we do it. That's why we are able to pretty much go so far just about anywhere. And you know, like I said, if the locals are paying $1,000 a month, then hey, that's the rate, right? If that's what the locals are paying. So it comes down to finding the local rate, procuring it, accessing it, and enjoying it. A 4-step process. So when you're hearing that you know, rents are going up, the rising cost of rent, Lisbon's getting 200,000 more foreign residents in an 8-year period, which is 25,000 additional foreign residents per year. Yeah, that's going to cause rising rents. So you've got, you know, both the RAMMs and local legislation that is enticing people to move there. So the RAMMs did this in Ecuador. They moved their best place to retire to Loja, and the prices started going up there, but they went up much faster there because the word was already out about the foreigners. So you would expect the rents to rise much quicker once the foreigner idea is widely known and talked about. In other words, it just spreads a lot quicker because it's just not new. It's not a new idea. The idea catches on quickly. Yeah, I've got oodles of furnished apartments under 400 that I can get in non-RAM cities. The thing is, we have talked about the size of these countries, especially places like Panama and Portugal, that they're just so small. Panama is even smaller. You look at the population of these places, they're just not really that big. So it doesn't take a whole lot for foreigners to start taking over. And it's always a two-edged sword because you've got the propertied class and the tourist business class that do real well. And then you've got their neighbors that aren't doing those things and they're getting pushed out and don't like it. You're already seeing videos of locals pushing back. They're getting legislation passed to limit the number of Airbnb apartments. The locals, I've seen where the Portuguese locals have got a really nifty way of figuring out which apartments are Airbnb and which ones have locals in them. Apparently the locals, when they hang their laundry, it's got everything in there hanging, but the foreigners, you know, the Airbnbs only hang this is funny, they only hang pillowcases and sheets. That's hilarious. And so they just walk around the street and they look up and see, they can tell which ones are Airbnb, so you're not gonna get sneaky on anybody. So yeah, all these people that invest in that stuff and then it gets legislated against. I don't blame the locals. They again, it's a two-edged sword. So, but I'll tell you something, in most of these cases the locals are not paying $1,000. The locals are having to move out because they can't pay that. So it's usually the foreigners paying it. In most of these countries that is the case where the RAMMs operate. So what that tells me is that, because when you look at the local wages, you can figure out roundabout what the locals can afford anyway. So then you can tell then that if the rents are disproportionate to that, which is what the foreigners always don't do, they always compare to back home. Even the Europeans do it. You know, locals are scrambling to figure out how to legislate this thing and how to make a balanced tourism. Well, you know, if people regulated themselves and rented according to what we're describing, paying what locals are paying already and can afford, then there wouldn't be any need for any other solution. But how to implement that?
getting online now on Airbnbs and other portals, just coming on board in droves. And no doubt they're hearing about all the money that people are making. And so in a way that's a good thing, because it gives us, the consumer, a lot more product and service. But in a way we also have to be careful, because you've got all these inexperienced people on there. There's another side to this story that is a little bit uglier than that, especially from the people that are coming on board in droves, you know, and then the ones that have a lot of reviews, their prices being much higher. That's what I'm getting to. The values aren't really there. Aside from the lack of service that I've just discussed and all the other issues, the prices that they're asking are similar to high quality lodging. In general, the kind of prices they're asking aren't worth what you're getting. You have to be really, really careful. So where does that leave us? I see it as just kind of a, you know, just kind of a leveling machine where people get on there and see other people's listings and say, well, if they're getting that much, then my place is worth this much, without regard to level of service, quality of the lodging, location, and all that kind of thing. So my opinion is, if you have to pay exorbitant amounts, when I say exorbitant amounts, I'm talking about relative to the earnings of the local culture. I mean, you've got people in Europe that are from England and going to these cheap Eastern European countries, bragging about how cheap an apartment they're getting at $800 when the locals are earning $300 a month. You know how I feel about that. I think that that's a really bad thing to do, brag about how cheap something is because you're comparing it to back home, and here you are paying 3 times a person's monthly salary for your lodging and then calling it cheap. I think it's a disservice to the locals. So that's it. That's it, guys.
But the thing is that it's not about tourism 100%, because you've got 25,000 new foreign residents. A big part of that is RAMM pumping. So